남규태방송 시청자 여러분 안녕하십니까. 오늘은 2023년 4월 24일 월요일입니다. 현재 시간은 오전 4시 24분입니다. 성경공부 445회 방송을 시작하겠습니다. 성경은 레위기 19장부터 영문으로 읽어보겠습니다. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the entire assembly of Israel and say to them, Be holy, because I, the Lord your God, and holy. Each of you must respect his mother and father, and you must observe my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Do not turn to idols or make gods of cast meter for yourselves. I am the Lord your God. When you sacrifice a fellowship offering to the Lord, sacrifice it in such a way that it will be accepted on your behalf. Be help. It shall be eaten on the day you sacrifice it, or on the next day. Anything left over until the third day must be burned up. If any of it is eaten on the third day, it is impure and will not be accepted. Whoever eats it will be held responsible because he has desecrated what is holy to the Lord, that a person must be cut off from his people. When you reap the harvest of your land, do not leave to the very edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Do not go over your vineyard a second time, or pick up the grapes that have fallen. Leave them for the poor and the lion. I am the Lord your God. Do not steal. Do not lie. do not deceive on another. Do not swear falsely by my name and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. Do not defraud your neighbor or rob him. Do not hold back the wages of a hired man overnight. Do not cause the thief or put a stumbling block in front of the blind. Prepare your God. I am the Lord. Do not pervert justice. Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great, but judge your neighbor fairly. Do not go about spreading slander among your people. Do not do anything that endangers your neighbor's life. I am the Lord. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Rebuke your neighbor frankly, so you will not share in his guilt. Do not seek revenge. Revenge or bear a grudge against one of your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. Keep my decrees. Do not make different kinds of animals. Do not plant your field with two kinds of seed. Do not wear clothing woven of two kinds of material. If a man sleeps with a woman who is a slave girl promised to another man, but who has not been ransomed or given her freedom, there must be due punishment, yet they are not to be put to death, because she had not been freed. The man, however, must bring a lamb to the entrance to the tent of meeting for guilt offering to the Lord. With the lamb of the guilt offering, the priest is to make an atonement for him before the Lord for the sin he has committed, and his sin will be forgiven. When you eat the land and plant any kinds of fruit tree, regard its fruit as provision for 3 years. You are the consider it for providing. It must not be eaten in the false year. All its fruit will be holy. an offering of praise to the Lord. But in the fifth year, you may eat its fruit. In this way, your harvest will be increased. I am the Lord your God. Do not eat any meat with the blood still in it. Do not practice divination or sorcery. Do not cut the hair at the sides of your head or clip up the edges of your head, your beard. Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on your shoulders. I am the Lord. Do not degrade your daughter by making her a prostitute, or the land will turn to prostitution and be filled with wickedness. Observe my Sabbaths and have reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritists for you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Lies in the presence of the aged. Show respect for the elderly and revere your God. I am the Lord. When an lion lives with you in your land, do not mistreat him. The lion living with you must be treated as one of your native born. Love him as your shepherd, for you were lions in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Do not use this harnessed standards when measuring length, weight, or color quantity. Use honest scales and honest weight. Unhonest if and unhonest hin. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt. Keep all my decrees and all my laws and follow them. I am the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, I say to the Israelites, any Israelite or any lion living in Israel who gives any of his children to Molech must be put to death. The people of the community are to stone him. I will set my face against that man, and I will cut him off from his people, who by giving his children to Molech, he has defiled my sanctuary and profaned my holy name. If the people of the community close their eyes when that man gives on one of his children to Molech, and they fail to put him to death, I will set my face against that man and his family, and will cut off from the people both him and all who follow him in prostituting themselves to Molech. I will set my face against the person who turns to mediums and spiritist to prostitute himself by following them, and I will cut him off from his people. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am the Lord your God. Keep my decrees and follow them. I am the Lord who makes you holy. If anyone curses his father or mother, he must be put to death. He has curses his father or his mother, and his blood will be on his own head. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress must be put to death. Put to death. If a man sleeps with his father's wife, he has dishonors his father. Both the man and the woman must be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man sleeps with his daughter-in-law, both of them must be put to death. What they have done is a perversion. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man lies with a man as one lies with a woman, both of them have done what is detestable. They must be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man marries both a woman and her mother, it is wicked. Both he and they must be burned in the fire, so that no wickedness will be among you. If a man has sexual relations with an animal, he must be put to death, and you must kill the animal. If a woman approaches an animal to have sexual relations with it, kill both the woman and the animal. They must be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man marries his sister, the daughter of either his father or his mother, and they have a sexual relations. It is disgrace. They must be cut off before the eyes of their people. He has dishonors his sister and will be held responsible. If a man lies with a woman during her monthly period and has sexual relations with her, he is exposed the source of law. And she has also uncovered it. Both of them must be cut off from their people. Do not have sexual relations with the sister of either your mother or your father, for that would dishonor or close relative. Both of you would be held responsible. If a man sleeps with his aunt, he has dishonored his uncle. They will be held responsible. They will die childless. If a man marries his brother's wife, it is an act of impurity. He has dishonored his brother. They will be childless. Keep all my decrees and laws and follow them, so that the land where I am bringing you to rival may not vomit you out. You must not live according to the customs of the nations I am going to drive out before you, because they did all these things. I uphold them. But I said to you, you will possess their land. I will give it to you as an inheritance, a land flowing will milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, who has set you apart from the nations. You must therefore make a distinction between clean and unclean animals, and between unclean and clean birds. Do not defile yourselves by any animal or bird or anything that moves along the ground. Those which I have set apart as unclean for you. You are to be holy to me, because I, the Lord, and holy, and I have set you apart from the nations to be my own. A man or woman who is a medium or a spiritist among you must be put to death. You are to stone them. Their blood will be on their own heads. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say to them, priest must not make himself ceremonially unclean for any of his people who die, except for a close relative, such as his mother or father, his son or daughter, his brother, or an married sister who is dependent on him, since she has no husband for her. He may make himself unclean. He must not make himself unclean for people related to him by marriage, and so defile himself. Priests must shave their heads or shave off the edges of their beards, or cut their bodies. They must be holy to their God, and they must not profane the name of their God, because they presented the offerings made to the Lord by fire, the food of their God. They are to be holy. They must not marry woman defiled by prostitution or divorced from their husband, because priests are holy to their God. Regard them as holy because they offer up the food of your God. Consider them holy, because I, the Lord, am holy. I who make you holy. If a priest's daughter defiles herself by becoming a prostitute, she disgraces her father. She must be hurled in the fire. The high priest, the one among his brothers, who has had the anointing oil poured on his head, and who has been ordained to wear the priestly garments, must not let his hair become unkempt or tear his clothes. He must not enter a place where there is a dead body. He must not make himself unclean, even for his father or mother, nor leave the sanctuary of his God, or desecrate it, because he has been dedicated by the anointing oil of his God. I am the Lord. The woman he marries must be a virgin. He must not marry in widow. A divorced woman, or a woman defiled by prostitution, but only virgin from his own people, so he will not defile his offspring among his people. I am the Lord who makes him holy. The Lord said to Moses, say to Aaron, for the generations to come, none of your descendants who has a defect may come near to offer the food of his God. No man who has any defect may come near. No man who is blind or lame. This fingered or deformed, no man who is crippled foot or hand, or who is hunchbacked, or dwarfed, dwarfed, or who has any eye defect, or who has a festering or running sores, or damaged testicles. No descendant of Aaron, the priest who has any defect is to come near to priest the offerings made to the Lord by fire. He has a defect, he must not come near to offer the food of his God. He may eat the most holy food over his God, as well as the holy food. Yet, because of his defect, he must not go near the kitchen or approach the altar. And so, the secret, my sanctuary, I am the Lord who makes them holy. So Moses told this to Aaron and his sons and to all the Israelites. The Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron and his sons to treat with respect the sacred offering, so the Israelites consecrate to me, so they will not profane my holy name. I am the Lord. I say to them, for the generations to come, if any of your descendants is ceremonially unclean and yet comes near the sacred offerings that the Israelites consecrate to the Lord. That person must be cut off from my presence. I am the Lord. If this descendant of Aaron has an infectious skin disease or a bodily discharge, he may not eat the sacred offerings until he is cleansed. He will also be unclean if he touches something defiled by a corpse or by anyone who has an emission of semen, or if he touches any clothing thing that makes him unclean, or any person who makes him unclean, wherever the uncleanness may be. The one who touches any such thing will be unclean till evening. He must not eat any of the sacred offerings unless he has bathed himself with water. When the sun goes down, he will be clean, and after that he may eat the sacred offerings, for they are his food. He must not eat anything pound, dead, or torn by wild animals, and so become unclean through it. I am the Lord. The priests are to keep my requirements so that they do not become guilty and die for treating them with contempt. I am the Lord who makes them holy. No one outside the priest family may eat the sacred offering, nor may the guest of a priest or his hired worker eat it. But if a priest buys a slave with money, or if a slave is born in his household, the slave may eat his food. If a priest's daughter marries anyone other than a priest, she may not eat any of the sacred contributions. But if a priest's daughter becomes a widow or is divorced, yet has not children, and returns to life in her father's house as in her youth, she may eat of her father's food. No, unauthorized person, however, may eat any of it. If anyone eats a sacred offering by mistake, he must make a restitution to the priest for the offering and add a fifth of the value to it. The priest must not desecrate the sacred offerings the Israelites present to the Lord by allowing them to eat the sacred offerings and so bring upon them guilt requiring payment. I am the Lord who makes them holy. The Lord said to Moses, speak to Aaron and his sons and to all the Israelites, and say to them, if any of you, either an Israelite or an alien living in Israel, present a gift for a burnt offering to the Lord, either to fulfill a vow or as a free will offering. You must present a male without a defect from the cattle, sheep, or goat in order that it may be accepted on your behalf. Do not bring anything with defect, because it will not be accepted on your behalf. When anyone brings from the herd of a black fellowship offering to the Lord, the fulfill or special vow or as a free-will offering. It must be without defect or blemish to be acceptable. Do not offer to the Lord the blind, the injured, or the maimed, or anything with a vulture, or pest, tearing or learning swords. Do not place any of these on the altar as an offering made to the Lord by fire. You may, however, present as a free will offering an ox or a slave that is deformed or stunted, but it will not be accepted in fulfillment of a vow. You must not offer to the Lord an animal whole testicles are bruised, crushed, torn or cut. You must not do this in your own land, and you must not accept such animals from the hand of prisoner, and offer them as the food of your God. They will not be accepted on your behalf because they are deformed and have defect. The Lord said to Moses, when a calf or lamb or a goat is born, it is to remain with its mother for 7 days. From the either day on, it will be acceptable as an offering made to the Lord by fire. Do not slaughter a cow or a sheep and its young on the same day. When you sacrifice or thank offering to the Lord, sacrifice it in such a way that it will be accepted on your behalf. It must be eaten the same day. Leave none of it till morning. I am the Lord. Keep my commands and follow them. I am the Lord. Do not profane my holy name. I must be acknowledged as holy by the Israelites. I am the Lord who makes you holy, and you brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and said to them, these are my appointed priests, the appointed picture of the Lord, which you are to proclaim as a sacred assembly. There are 6 days when you may work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of rest, a day of sacred assembly. You are not to do any work wherever you live. It is a as a best to the Lord. These are the Lord's appointed feasts. The sacred assemblies you are to proclaim at the appointed times. At Rose's Passover brings at twilight on the 14th day of the first month. On the 15th day of that month, the Lord's feast of unleavened bread begins. For 7 days you must eat bread, make without yeast. On the first day, holy sacred assembly, and do not regular work. For 7 days, present an offering made to the Lord by fire, and on the seventh day, holy sacred assembly, and do not regular work. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land I am going to give you, and you reap its harvest, bring to the priest or sheep of the first grain you harvest. He is to wave the sheep before the Lord, so it will be accepted on your behalf. The priest is to wave it on the day of after the Sabbath. On the day you wave the sheep, you must sacrifice as a burnt offering to the Lord a lamb a year old without defect, together with his grain offering of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made to the Lord by fire, a pleasing aroma, and its brink offering of a quarter of a hin of wine. You must not eat any bread or roasted or new grain until the very day you bring this offering to your God. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come, wherever you live. From the day after the Sabbath, the day you brought the sheep of the wave offering, count of 7 full weeks, count of 50 day up to the day after the seventh Sabbath, and then present an offering of new grain to the Lord from wherever you live. Bring 2 loaves, make of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour, baked with yeast, as a wave offering of a burst of fruit to the Lord. Present with this blade seven male lambs, each a year old and without defect, 1 young bull and 2 lambs. They will be burnt offering to the Lord, together with their grain offerings and drink offerings. An offering made by fire, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. Then sacrifice on a male goat for a sin offering and 2 rams, each a year old, for a fellowship offering. The priest is to wave the 2 lambs before the Lord as a wave offering, together with the bread of the first fruits. They are a sacred offering to the Lord for the priest. On the same day, you are to proclaim a sacred assembly and do no regular work. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. Wherever you live, when you reap the harvest of your land, do not live to the very edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Leave them for the poor and the lion. I am the Lord your God. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, on the first day of the 7th month, you are to have a day of rest, sacred assembly, commemorated with trumpet, blessed. Do no regular work, but present an offering made to the Lord by fire. The Lord said to Moses, the 10th day of this 7th month is the day of atonement, holy, sacred assembly, and then your silvers and the present offering made to the hold by fire. Do not work on that day, because it is the day of atonement, when atonement is made for you before the Lord your God. Anyone who does not attend himself on that day must be cut off from his people. I will destroy from among his people anyone who does any work on that day. You shall do no work at all. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. Wherever you live, it is a Sabbath of rest for you, and you must then your service for the evening of the 9th day of the month until the following evening. You are to observe your Sabbath. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, on the 15th day of the 17th month of the Lord's feast of tabernacles, begins, and it lasts for 7 days. The first day is a sacred assembly. Do no regular work. For 7 days, present offerings made to the Lord by force of fire, and on the 8th day, holy sacred assembly and present on offering made to the Lord by fire. It is the closing assembly to no regular work. These are the Lord's appointed feasts, which you are to proclaim as sacred assemblies for bringing offerings made to the Lord by fire, the burnt offerings and grain offerings sacrificed, and drink offerings required for each day. These offerings are in addition to those for the Lord's services, and in addition to your gifts and whatever you have bought, and all the free will offering you give to the Lord. So beginning with the 15th day of the 7th month, after you have gathered the crops of the land, celebrate the festival to the Lord for 7 days. The first day is a day of rest, and the 8th day also is a day of rest. On the first day, you are to take choice fruit from the trees and from fronds, refine branches, and poplars, and rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. Celebrate this as a festival to the Lord for 7 days each year. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. Celebrate it in the 7th month. Live in births for 7 days. All native-born Israelites are to live in births, so your descendants will know that I have the Israelites live in births when I brought them out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So Moses announced to the Israelites the appointed feast of the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, Moses, command the Israelites to bring you clear oil of pressed olives for the light, so that the lamps may be kept burning continually outside the circle of the testimony. In the tent of meeting, Aaron is to tend the lamps before the Lord from evening till morning continually. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. The lamps on the four gold lampstand before the Lord must be tended continually. Take a fine flour and bake 12 loaves of bread. Using 2 tenths of an ephah for each loaf. Set them into loaves, 6 in each row, on the table of pure gold before the Lord. Along each row, put some pure incense as a memorial portion to represent the bread, and to be an offering made to the Lord by fire. This bread is to be set out before the Lord regularly, Sabbath after Sabbath, on behalf of the Israelites, as a resting covenant. it belongs to Aaron and his sons, or to eat it in a holy place, because it is the most holy part of their your share of the offerings made to the Lord by fire. Now the son of an Israelite must and an Egyptian after Egyptian father went out among the Israelites, and fight broke out in the camp between him and an Israelite. The son of the Israelite woman blasphemed the name with a curse, so they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelomis, the daughter of the Dibri, the Danite. They put him in custody until the will of the Lord should be made clear to them. Then the Lord said to Moses, take the blasphemer outside the camp. All those who heard him are to lay their hands on his head, and the entire assembly is to stone him. Say to the Israelites, if anyone curses his God, he will be held responsible. Anyone who blasphemes the name of the Lord must be put to death. The entire assembly must stone him, whether a lion or native born. When he blasphemes the name, he must be put to death. If anyone takes the life of a human being, he must be put to death. Anyone who takes the life of someone's animal must make a restitution, life for life. If anyone injures his neighbor, whatever he has done must be done to him. A plaster for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he has injured the other, so he is to be injured. Whoever kills an animal must make a restitution, but whoever kills a man must be put to death. You are to have the same law for the lion and the native born. I am the Lord your God. Then Moses spoke to the Israelites, and they took the blasphemer outside the camp and stoned him. The Israelites did as the Lord commanded Moses. The Lord said to Moses on Mount Sinai, speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land I am going to give you, the land Israel must observe Sabbath to the Lord. For 6 years, sow your fields, and for 6 years, prune your vineyards, and gather their crops. But in the 7th year, the land is to have a Sabbath of rest, Sabbath to the Lord. Do not sow field or prune your vineyard. Do not leave what grows of itself or harvest the collapse of your untended vines. The land is to have its year of rest. Whatever the land yields during the Sabbath year will be put food for you, for your shepherd, your manservant, and maid servant, and hired worker, and a temporary resident who live among you, as well as for your livestock and the wild animals in your land. Whatever the land produces may be eaten. A count of 7 Sabbaths of years. 7 times 7 years, so that the 7 Sabbaths of years amount to a period of 49 years. Then the trumpet sounded everywhere on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the day of atonement, sounded the trumpet throughout your land. Consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. Each one of you is to return to his family property, and this is to his own clan. The 50th year shall be a jubilee for you. Do not sow and do not leave what grows of itself or harvest the untended vines, for it is a jubilee and is to be holy for you. It only what is taken directly from the fields. In this year of jubilee, everyone is to return to his own property. If you shall lend to one of your countrymen or buy any from him, do not take advantage of each other. You are to buy from your countrymen on the basis of the number of its years since the jubilee, and he is to share to you on the basis of the number of years left for harvesting crops. When the years are many, you are to increase the price, and when the years are few, you are to decrease the price, because what he is really selling you is the number of crops. Do not take advantage of each other, but fear your God. I am the Lord your God. Follow my decrees and be careful to obey my laws, and you will be live safely in the land. Then the land will yield as a fruit, and you will eat your fill and live there in safety. You may ask, what will we eat in the seventh year if we do not plant or harvest our crops? I will send you such a blessing in the sixth year that the land will yield enough for 3 years, while you plant during the eighth year, you will eat from the old crop and will continue to eat from it until the harvest of the ninth year comes in. The land must not be sold permanently because the land is mine and your bird alliance and my tenant. Throughout the country that you hold as a possession, you must provide for the redemption of the land. If one of your countrymen becomes poor and sells some of his property, his nearest relative is to come and redeem what his countryman has sold. If, however, a man has no one to redeem it for him, but he himself prospers and acquires sufficient means to redeem it, he is to determine the value for the years since he sold it and refund the balance to the man to whom he sold it. He can then go back to his own property. But if he does not acquire the means to repay him, what he sold will remain in the possession of the buyer until the year of Jubilee. It will be returned in Jubilee, and he can then go back to his property. If a man sells a house in a world city, they retain the right of redemption or full year after its sale. During that time, he may redeem it. If it is not redeemed before a full year has passed, the house in the world city shall belong permanently to the buyer and his descendants. It is not to be returned in the Jubilee, but houses in villages without walls around them are to be considered as open country. They can be redeemed and they are to be returned in the Jubilee. The Levites always have the right to redeem their houses in the Levitical towns which they possess. So the property of the Levites is redeemable. That is a house sold in any town they hold and is to be returned in the Jubilee, because the houses in the towns of the Levites are their property among the Israelites. But the land belonging to their towns must not be sold. It is their permanent possession. If one of your countrymen becomes poor and is unable to support himself among you, help him as you hold an alien or a temporary resident, so he can continue to live among you. Do not take interest of any kind from him, but fear your God, so that your countrymen may continue to live among you. You must not lend him honey at interest or sell him food at a profit. I am the Lord your God. You brought you out of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God. If one of your countrymen becomes poor among you and sells himself to you, do not make him work as a slave. He is to be treated as a hired worker or a temporary resident among you. He is to work for you until the year of Jubilee. Then he and his children to be released, and he will go back to his own clan and to the property of his forefathers, because the Israelites are my servants, whom I brought out of Egypt. They must not be sold as slave. Do not rule over them lawlessly, but fear your God. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born in your country, and they will become your property. You can will them to your children as inherited property, and can make them slaves for a life, but you must not rule over your fellow Israelites lawlessly. If an alien or a temporary resident among you becomes rich, and one of your countrymen becomes poor and sells himself to the lion living among you, or to a member of the lion's clan, he retains the right of redemption after he has sold himself. One of his relatives may redeem him. An uncle or a cousin or any blood relative in his clan may redeem him. Or if he prospers, he may redeem himself. He and his buyer are to counted the time from the year he sold himself up to the year of the year of Jubilee. The price for his release is to be based on the rate paid to hired men for that number of years. If many years remain, he must pay for his redemption a larger share of the price paid for him. If only a few years remain until the year of Jubilee, he is to compute that any pay for his redemption accordingly. He is to be treated as a man hired from year or year to year. You must see to it that his owner does not rule over him ruthlessly. Even if he is not redeemed in any of these ways, he and his children are to be released in the year of Jubilee. For the Israelites belong to me as servants. They are my servants whom I brought out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. 성경 공부 445회 방송은 여기까지 하고 종료하도록 하겠습니다. 레위기 25장까지 영문으로 읽어보았습니다. 주기도문 기도하고 445회 방송을 모두 끝내겠습니다. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is in the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. 445회 성경 공부 시청해 주신 분께 감사드리겠습니다. 안녕히 계십시오. 다음 방송에서 다시 인사드리겠습니다.